What do you think? Good. Hey guys, good morning. It's Wednesday morning, June 20th, 2018, and today's going to be a little bit of a rough day. Last night, Rochelle and I effectively broke up. And I don't know how I feel about that. I know that it's the right decision. I mean, I've been talking about her for 2 years on this vlog. You guys saw the shit show that she was even back when this vlog was still going on. And I don't know how I'm going to process this yet. I try not to get too emotional and all that, but it comes down to she's just not ready for a serious relationship. Now, I don't... Kind of disappointed that I threw away that 2-year relationship with Vicky. But I mean, I had to give it a try. So I'm trying to stay positive in that aspect. But I just look forward and I'm like, dude, to meet somebody new from scratch, you know, make sure they're not fucking psycho, just so then I can eventually bring them around Grant. It's gonna be another year or two process. But I wasn't really happy with Rochelle, and the way she was treating me was not acceptable. You know, I'm a nice guy, but at the end of the day, I'm too old. I'm not gonna let somebody walk all over me, and that's kind of what I was getting into. And she made a couple points last night that really struck home. And you know, one of them, she said that she and everyone else, meaning all of her friends, think that I'm still in love with Grant's mom. And I'm going to ask around, because there was a couple other things I went, other incidents with other people, not incidents, but talks and stuff, that other people were like, made some comments indicating that I still had feelings for Grant's mom. And I was like, what? So that was one thing. The other big thing was, you know, I told her, you know, because she kept talking about her friends, and you know, all she does is talk with her friends, and she's the only one that's dating. You know, the one friend's married and the other ones are single. So it's, anyone has dish to dirt or dirt to dish or anything like that, it's just going to be Rochelle. Like, I was fully aware of that. But you know, I kept telling her, I said, you know, you never quite understood how supportive I was about your friends and friendships and stuff. And I said, you know, I told you like 5 or more times, you know, go out, have a good time with your friends, enjoy them, all that stuff, because they are great girls. And really quickly, they're going to get scooped up. Scooped up meaning, you know, they're going to find somebody else and move on quickly. And your guys' little girls' nights out every fucking week and all that shit is going to, you know, vanish. You know, that's human nature. Once you find somebody new, you're not leaning on and hanging out with the girlfriends as much. And she made a comment that just solidified that she's nowhere near ready for a long-term relationship or a serious relationship. She said something to the effect of, well, I can't stand people that are like that. And then she said that I was like that. She said, I can't stand people that get a new boyfriend or get a new girlfriend and then they disappear as a friend or disappear to their friends. And I was just like, and she's like, I'll never be that kind of person. And she's like, you know, you wanted to pull me away from that or this or that. And I said, Rochelle, like, I'm of the old school notion of, if somebody's worth it, you're going to make time for them. And it's not going to be like, oh, you know, I need to hang out with my friends instead of you or whatever. It's going to be like, no, you actually want to hang out with that person. The friends will always be there. That's what she's not understanding. when you're nurturing and working on a new relationship, you gotta put in some time and effort. It's gonna be work. It's gonna be time consuming. It's gonna be all of those things. So I told her, I said, you're the first woman I've ever dated that has a child, a kid. And I said, it definitely was more than I expected or whatever. But I told her, right off the bat, I expected to be, second to her kid or whatever. But I didn't expect to be third or fourth or fifth. I didn't expect her to push me away when her family was around. I've known her for so long that, why couldn't we hang out with her family? And, so not only was I second to her kid, whenever her family was around, she wanted nothing to do with me. I mentioned it in the vlog, but she never even told her brother that we were dating or we were together. And then the friends thing, she valued or prioritized her friends over me. And there's no other way to say it other than that's her. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, you can't do that, this and that. No, I shouldn't have to be like that. At the end of the day, she shouldn't call me up as an afterthought. Oh, I have nothing else going on. I don't have Logan. I don't have my family in town, and the girls are all busy. So, okay, what are you doing now? She's gonna be in for a rude awakening. It's gonna be a while though. These girls are not ready for fucking single life. And I had the same talk with Rochelle. I said, Rochelle, that incident at the bar where you were touching all the guys and getting all fucking weird and shit. I said, that was all disrespectful. She's like, oh, well, my friends don't think that. I'm like, she's all worried about what everyone else thinks. Not what I think, not what I feel. Oh, that's your opinion, that's cool. But I said, Rochelle, supposedly that night you were all over all these dudes trying to help or be a wingman for your friend. I said, you didn't pay any attention to your friend. Your friend was sitting in the corner, not wanting to talk to a single fucking dude, literally just wanting to drink. And you're trying to hook her up with somebody. I'm like, she is not at that point. Rochelle, she's like, are you giving me a pep talk now? She's like, I've been single longer than you. I'm like, I'm giving you a pep talk in fucking relationship stuff. I'm like, you're not there. You're not where I'm at. We're not on the same level relationship-wise. I'm like, you are still in this depressed fucking funk where you have to be surrounded by people all the time. Where you have to go out to bars to get attention. And you have to drink and drink and drink. And I'm like, I shouldn't have to get you drunk to see the old, fun, true, real you. Something else is much deeper going on here. So I explained all this to her. She's not hearing it. She's not listening. She doesn't give a fuck. And it's all about her. And it's I don't know any other way to explain it, but other than I've went through all of this shit that she's going through. She just hasn't worked through it. She hasn't processed it. I am serious. We had this talk, but I am seriously trying to find a serious long-term relationship with somebody that I could, basically effectively have my own fucking family. I can't force that on anyone, obviously, but I just, she's not understanding it. And that's why I'm sad that I'm not sad that I tried it because I really needed to know, but I'm sad that it wasn't the right point in her life to try it. She needs another year or two, or maybe even 3. But she's at that stage, dude. If she can't pull out of this, it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna end up well for her. So I'm just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because she said she doesn't want to lose me as a friend. And I don't necessarily want to lose her as a friend, but I made a comment to her, and I was serious, but I'm glad she took it lightheartedly. But I said, you're an awesome friend. You're the best female friend I've ever had. And I said, you're amazing, but you're a shitty girlfriend. And that's what I told her. And she's like, well, I don't know what I did or didn't do to be classified as a shitty girlfriend. But she just laughed. I think she knew exactly what I was talking about. But, you know, I gave her a couple examples. I'm like, you didn't even do a damn thing for Father's Day. You sent me one ping at 8 a.m. and said, Happy Father's Day. I'm like, we were going to do dinner or do something, and you didn't. She's like, oh, yeah, you didn't. You never told me, like, the plans. I'm like, we've been together for, like, 3-4 months. Like, you couldn't be like, oh, hey, it's your special day. What would you like to do today? Or anything. She's just like, no, I never heard from you, so I just, you know, did my own thing. I'm like, she doesn't think at all. Only if she needs something. So I gotta look up that narcissistic meme, or not meme, but like that, there's like an image that says, you know, here's the classical signs of a narcissist. I think that she may fall under that. I'm not positive though. I gotta double check that. But you know, we talked about it quite a bit last night, and you know, I told her, I'm like, you know, you're all about control, and you think like I was trying to control you and your friendships and control you and your time and this and that. I said, I don't, you know, we talked about the money bullshit again, but I said, you know, I don't care about how much money you have. I don't care about, you know, how much time you want to spend with your friends. What I care about is your time. Like, I want your fucking time. And I told her, I'm like, you know, you and I have talked so many times about one of our other friends and about how she treats her now husband like shit. And she doesn't give him an inch. She just talks down to him. She belittles him in front of everyone else. And it gets to the point where it's fucking awkward. And I told her, Shell, I'm like, you know, you have adopted, because she brought up her ex-husband and how he was, you know, all these bad things to her, and she's not going to put up with that or whatever. And I said, you know, you're carrying that over and overcompensating hardcore for all of those shortcomings, to the point where, like, she's becoming more like the things like her ex-husband would do to her. To me, you know, she talks to me like I'm fucking retarded. She talks to me like I'm a kid, or her kid. She did all this with her husband. And she doesn't treat me as a partner. She treats me as like a friend, or just a friend. And she's made a bunch of comments over these last 3-4 months or whatever it's been about, you know, various things, but it clearly painted the picture of where I stand in her pecking order. And, you know, when I would make comments like, you know, she's lucky to have me and I'm a good guy and this and that, she would almost like laugh or whatever because I was like being cocky. But you gotta have some self-worth. You gotta have some value. You gotta put all that on yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you try to invest all of that in or get all that from somebody else, you're gonna be disappointed. I guess I'm giving myself a pep talk right now, but these are very important things, guys. You know, at the end of the day, we're not married. So I have no need to settle. I have a small boatload of Facebook friends that are beautiful women, my age or whatever, that ever since I've, you know, been Facebook friends with them for 5+ years, their dudes are like gray-haired, but they have a family together. So like, I can always, you know, date down age-wise or whatever. You know, I'm in the prime, you know, thing where I could date 10 years younger and start an entirely new fucking family, man. So like, I have no need to settle. It's not like women, dude. Women, once they reach my age group, they're done. They're done having kids, at least safely. So that's it. Some can't handle that. You know, somebody told me a comment, I think it was yesterday. They're like, you know, it sounds like she just wasn't ready to have kids, or maybe shouldn't have had a kid. And I was like, you know, I never really thought about that, but you're probably right. She's kind of making, you know, lemonade from lemons or whatever. She's making the best of her situation, but she's not really cut out for the family, you know, model. Guys, I'm trying to stay positive. I'm not actually trying to talk shit about her. Like, I really do care about her. I want her to be happy. And you know, it's an incompatibility issue. That's literally what it comes down to. Like, I never really thought I was her type, and I guess she's not necessarily my type, but that's why I'm stuck. I'm trying to figure out where to go from here. Do I keep trying to stay friends with her, and you know, maybe one day she'll wake up and this and that, and you know, I just get to tag along, or do I cut her off completely and just fucking walk away and move on? That's what I did in the past. You know, she said something like, well, you know, you told me about all this long game that you played on me and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, it was so endearing, you know, that you cared about me that much to put in all that kind of work and this and that and all this stuff. And then she's like, yeah, but then I realized, you know, like that was really kind of like an asshole thing to do, that like you were like not being a good friend by doing that. I'm like, Rochelle, it worked. She's like, but did it? I'm like, yeah, it kind of did. It got me to be able to date you. She's like looking at it. I was like, well, it didn't work out in the long term. But I'm like, dude, like, it worked. So that's why I'm like, all right, so do I just cut her off? We stay Facebook friends so you can see all the cool shit that I do with my life, and we kind of just go on from there? Or do I kind of just keep getting strung along? I don't know what my feelings are for her. Because if my feelings are dead for her or whatever, then, you know, I guess I could stay friends with her. You know, Vicky and I, we had that talk, and she said, you know, I can't right now stay like friends with, Vicky couldn't stay friends with me and all that because she wouldn't be able to handle seeing me with somebody new, or handle, like, you know, basically seeing me. And I get that. Like, I've been finding out that more and more with women. Like, women, when they're done with relationships or people or whatever, they'll fucking destroy every and any shred of evidence. And Grant's mom was the same. She didn't take a single picture of anything. No wedding pictures, nothing. And, you know, Missy, she did similar shit. She just would fucking, she deleted, blocked every picture, everything. But there's something deeper going on with Rochelle, and I knew she wasn't necessarily a happy person when I, you know, saw her, or since I've been with her, I guess you could say. But I'm just not quite sure, man. Like, she has so many layers of walls and barricades put up, and she's not the type of person to talk about feelings. And she, you know, I would something as simple as me telling her that I missed her, and she would just say, "Aw." And then I mentioned that last night, and she's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't know what to say or whatever," when I would say that to her, which means like she's not having those same feelings. So we're not even talking about like love and all that deep, serious shit. Like, I miss you. Okay, thanks. So she is so emotionally and physically fucking blocked that it's not gonna work for me. I thought maybe I could break through to her a little bit, or at least get her to like learn more about herself. But it's all surface level stuff, man. Like, you know, for years I prayed to meet a woman that would have a couple characteristics that I haven't experienced yet. One was a great group of friends, their own friends. I've talked about this before. So, great group of friends meaning like people that she or they can go out with and have a good time and all that. You know, pretty much every woman I've ever dated hasn't had that, and then they want and need and have to adopt all my friends and stuff. So I never had this talk with Rochelle, but that was something that I did like about her, that she did work and cultivate all these friendships and whatever. What was the other one? The other one was like to be, independent, financially independent, all those types of things. But and she was that, but she was that to a fault. And somebody like Vicky, I believe Vicky was single for quite some time, but Vicky was receptive to the idea of a relationship. Like that's what she wanted. That's what she craved. And I could see and tell a huge difference between the way Vicky would act and the way Rochelle would act. Like Rochelle, because she can't have any of these deeper connections, everything is just surface level. So it's like, all right, we hung out for an hour. I'm good. That's all I need. And it'd be like, okay, for weeks or for a couple weeks or whatever. So like, I kept going back to her with this concept of, I never got 100% of you, Rochelle. And she doesn't grasp what I'm saying. Because I told her, I'm like, the first 2 months were amazing. And I said, it was a really fun time. We had great time. All that stuff. Everything was great. And I said, you were really receptive to everything, to me, to us. And I said, after like 2 months or so, it was when we had the money talk, she kind of shut off. And I told her, like, it's, or I lost my train of thought, but, the 100%. So, like, then she would, fall back into, like, I need girl time, I need this, I need that. Guys, like, when you're in a relationship, if you're not giving 100% to the other person, what are you doing? We're adults here. We're not fucking kids where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna date around. I got 2 or 3 different people I'm talking to. I got my kid stuff going on. I got my family stuff going on. I got my friends stuff going on. Like, no, we had these talks. We're sitting there and it's like, are you ready to do this? Yes. So her doing all this stupid bullshit girls' night stuff was her giving a huge piece of herself to her friends. That's her. I'll keep reiterating that, but that's her. But I'm not getting 100%. I never got 100%. So, like, the little bit I got, yeah, it was nice, but she wouldn't fully commit. It was a commitment problem. And, disappointing. It really is. It's just disappointing. I thought she could handle this. She thought she could handle this. I mean, she did admit. She's like, well, I thought I was ready and stuff, and I just wasn't quite there or whatever. And, I just... and I could tell she wasn't, like, fully committed to, because she had no interest in anything that made me happy. She wouldn't ask me questions like, why are you doing these vlogs? Like, what, like, can I see some of them? Or like what's going on? None of that. She made a comment. She's like, yeah, because I said, over vacation, you didn't really seem to care about anything. You weren't really having a good time. She's like, well, yeah, this, that. And then, you always constantly blogging was just annoying. And I'm just like, wow, dude, cool. I'm like, I was really excited to show you some of those videos from our vacation. I got some really fucking good footage. And the stuff I don't do for other people. I don't do it to impress other people. I really don't. But when somebody just stomps on the things you like, doesn't even want to grasp concepts, doesn't ask intelligent questions, doesn't give a fuck. What's the point of me giving a fuck about them? You know, I told her, I said, you know, I'm a nice guy, and it was hard last night for me to have this conversation with her because I wanted to just bash the shit out of her, and I did a little bit, but I do respect her, I do care about her, but at the same time, she has no clue that the shit that she doesn't like, she's doing to other people or doing to me. So then when I do it back to her, she doesn't realize that, you know, I told her, I'm like, Rochelle, I'm golden rule fucking dude Bob. That's my motto. I treat everyone else how they treat me. She's like, oh, you haven't, you know, cultivated our friendships with all of our friends and this and that. You know, I put in all this time and effort and stuff, and you know, you don't give fuck. And she doesn't realize, like, I don't want to be friends with those fucking people. They didn't really necessarily treat me well. And it's how long have I been doing this vlog that I've talked about it so many times? I'm still amazed that when you treat somebody how they treat you, they fucking go off the deep end, man. They do not like it at all. And then you're like, that's what you're doing to me, man. Like, you don't like it? That's weird, huh? So, you know, maybe we couldn't get past the friend thing and all that. But I mentioned this plenty of times about Rochelle before we even started dating. She's always wanted the best parts of me without any commitment. And that's why I retracted from her in the past. She wanted to talk. She wanted somebody to talk to, somebody to hang out with when she was free. She wanted to, you know, visit Lake Carroll with her kid and me and Grant and do all that fun stuff. And she wants to come to the parties with my family and then go home and all that. She wants that piece, that huge piece of me, or perk, or the pro about me, but she doesn't want to commit. What's the point of me opening myself up to her with all of those good things if she's not going to truly appreciate them? Luke gave me the best pep talk last night. Kind of during the middle of us breaking up, I was pinging him, and he called me right away, and he's been raising his concerns from the very beginning. Let's just say that. And he said, dude, it's nothing that nothing necessarily about you. He said, you know, it's definitely her. She's not ready for this. And this is all stuff that I've known. But he said, you know, you got to look at it this way, dude. Like, he told me that I've given her way more of a chance than she even deserved. And he said a few other things, but it really hit home. It really resonated with me because he's right. You know, in the past, I would just be like, I'm not going to allow you to treat me like this. Like, yeah, you can go do your friend thing, but you can go do your friend thing by yourself. Like, I don't need to stick around and, like, hope, like, one day you're going to be free or they're going to get taken up and then you'll be free for, like, the long term and all that. Like, oh, guys, I don't know. I'm just got out of work for the day. I'm headed home, and, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel, like, super depressed, like, normal, or, like, super depression should be normal, but, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this. You know, do I want to just stay friends and all that? Is that enough for me? Because, like, you know, I've already pinged my ex-girlfriend and, you know, said hi and then apologized for treating her like shit or breaking up with her. I've already pinged a new girl and said, hey, what are you up to tonight? Would you like to get some drinks? And I've spent almost an hour and a half or so talking to Rochelle today. And I don't even know what in the fuck is going on. You know, after talking to Rochelle, I basically come to the conclusion that both of us weren't ready for that. So I just, you know, she's been asking me, well, what do you want? You know, because I asked her, I'm like, do you want to be friends with benefits? Do you want to just go back to being friends? Do you, like, not want to be friends? And then, like, one day we can try to hook back up. So that way we're not, like, too close in the meantime, kind of like we had to do before. And she's like, well, you know, I'd rather stay friends with a chance versus no friends at all and then playing games with each other and all that shit. And I said, well, okay. And then, of course, I'm trying to decide, is that something that I even want? So I guess the friends thing, I think I'll be okay with that. Knowing that we did try it. How do I explain this, guys? So I doing some research today, I think that I'm what they call an empath. I can pick up and feel empathy in others' feelings and stuff. And I'm gonna double check, but I think she's like a malignant narcissist. And pretty sure she picked that up from her now ex-husband and stuff. But it's almost, the two are almost complete opposites. A narcissist will feed off of somebody that's an empath because somebody that's an empath gives them more attention and is more attentive to them and all that stuff. They feed off of that, the narcissist. So the underlying flaw to everything is, if that's her, you can't really change that. Can't see the forest if you're standing in the trees, right? And you know, it's kind of like, you know, Rochelle made a comment that I'm still in love with my ex and stuff, and it's kind of like, you know, I really wanted to do some bad things to my buddy that essentially stole my wife away from me. But as funny as it sounds, it's like one of those situations where his life is much worse being stuck with my ex, having been stuck with her myself, than, you know, anything that I could do to him. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the same situation for Rochelle, where I can stay friends with her and actually revel or smile at the idea that, you know, when she does finally find Mr. Right or whatever, that it's not really going to be anything special. Because I've been there and done that. I don't know how else to explain that and not sound like a complete asshole and say, like, you know, somebody else deserves that, you know, garbage. You know, she made some comments about, like, how I talk about, like, I'm this hot commodity, and how I, you know, speak so highly of myself, and how you know, I think that everyone owes me something or this or that, and I told her I don't believe any of that. I don't believe anyone owes me shit. What I told her is, you know, she keeps talking about how, you know, friends, and I have no friends, and this and that, and I said, you know, the people in my life, I do have friends. So the friends that I have in my life are there for a reason, because I want them to be. Just like you have the people in your life that you want in your life. And I said, the newsflash is I don't necessarily like everything about all these people. Alright guys, what's happening? I got some really critical stuff to share in a minute, but I'm having problems charging the battery on this camera. I'm not sure if it's the camera's dying or what, but I did come across this note that Grant didn't have a chance to give to somebody on yesterday, but it says, from Grant, and he was kind of like hiding this and all this. This is for somebody at daycare, but he made this, and it says, happy birthday to Absine, I don't know. But, I mean, he drew some smiley faces and stuff. And I'm going to have to ask Grandma and Grandpa when he made this. Because he made this, I don't know. I wasn't home when he made this, so this is something special that he did. Alright guys, that's all that I got for now. I'm going to charge up this camera and then we're going to have a little bit of a talk. Alright guys, so the big news that I had, or big revelation that I had, and what's going to come of this is we're not going to be able to remain friends. Meixsell is a classical textbook narcissist. So I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to hear me with all these cars and stuff, but you know, I did a little bit of studying of this today, and I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, something about being an empath for me. And a narcissist is literally like the opposite of a empath. And once I figured that out today, and my buddy Luke helped me kind of figure this out, I realized why I feel the way I do about her, and then why I feel the way I do when I'm with her, and why she does the things she does, and then also retrospectively why they impact me enough that I, you know, talk about it a lot or whatever. So we're gonna go over a few things once I get back to the house about the two different types, I guess you could say, the empath versus the narcissist. And I'm gonna kind of just go over some different things that I've encountered, because I've never truly identified anything like this before. I've heard, you know, women are always posting on my Facebook wall or feed, not my wall, my feed, talking about, you know, watch out for narcissistic men and this and that. And so I was aware of it, but I've never, I guess, really understood what it exactly was. So this is something that I'm gonna be studying probably tonight and kind of going over with you guys, because I want to double check this, but I'm pretty sure that that's what the deal is, and that's why her and I will never be able to really get along. Alright guys, so we're about to embark on a learning experience here, and let me see if I can get you some more light here. Does that look better? Probably. Alright, so welcome to my bedroom. This is so important that I went and dug out a little tiny tripod to put on the wide-angle camera. I haven't put on a hat so you don't have to stare at my crazy head. Now, here's what I found out. And this is literally within like the last month. One of my Facebook friends posted something, and she basically said that it's taken her entire life to figure out that she's an empath. That's EMPATH. Now, looking up what exactly is an empath, kind of like the word empathy. So it says basically there's people in the world that are much
more highly intuitive to the needs and emotions of others, and that they can even pick up on the subtleties that others can't, and seem to have a natural talent for healing others. And what this article goes on to talk about is it says that we have a mirror neuron system that enables us to instinctively feel what another person might be feeling when we see them performing an action. So it says, in other words, they make our brain experience what the other person is experiencing. And that's kind of what the connection to empathy is. And it says there's even a very small part of the population that has mirror touch synesthesia, which is a strange phenomenon in the visual and tactile senses get mixed up, and they're literally able to feel their body being touched when observing somebody else's body being touched. So it says highly sensitive individuals, HSPs, or HSIs or whatever, make up approximately 15 to 20% of the population. It says that they have an oversensitive nervous system and seem to have enhanced skill set in the realm of empathy. And it says, and perhaps an even better mirror neuron system. So, what does this mean exactly? Let me see what they said. So, like, there was there's an article in here, and it says that somebody that's an empath, they try to fit in with the mainstream. So they said rather than trusting their gut or their intuition or going with what they feel, they try to just kind of fit in or whatever. And it talks about a psychiatrist. She had a startling wake-up call during the middle of a session with a client, and she said that the client seemed way more happy than normal and way more joyous and all kinds of stuff. And she had this flash of, maybe this person's going to try to commit suicide. And she said she ignored her gut feeling, and sure enough, the client attempted suicide but didn't succeed. So, it says that highly sensitive people, they tend to feel and experience the world a bit differently from most people. It says it's very, very interesting. It says that it could be caused from cultivated from when you're a child, and it says, for instance, a kid can learn strategies to adapt and survive in a way that many other children do not. So it says these survival mechanisms can also serve them in the world when employed from an empowered place. It's very that's funny. It says, frankly, fully empowered empaths are badass emotional ninjas and powerful alchemists. They just have to learn how to tune their power and trust their inner guidance in order to tap the magic, or tap into the magic that's rightfully theirs. So a lot of these bullet points really hit me to a T. It says empaths, they're emotional detectives. It says that when they first enter a room, they're extremely attuned into micro changes in facial expressions, shifts in tone of voice, and how misaligned someone's body language may be from what they're actually saying. So I thought this was something that I learned from becoming a photographer. Watching body language and posing, and working with people. I know when to push somebody to get the shot and when to back off. Things like that, but maybe that's not quite true. So let me see what else they talk about here. It says that they can pick up on the emotions of others, and little nuances are unparalleled. So basically we can feel vibes and stuff like that. It says empaths can usually tell when people are lying, even if it's just that they're lying to themselves. They can we can sense when something's off, or feel strange sensations before dramatic shifts. It's almost like a reading. It says we can pick up on the contempt under someone's niceties. We can feel when someone has a hidden motive. And at the same time, we can also celebrate and feel the full impact of a person's spirit when they are genuine. So there was something that I saw somewhere that said, like, empath is kind of like, I don't know the exact quote. It says, empowered empaths learn to honor their ability and use them with confidence. They don't require validation from other sources to follow their instincts. They go for it. And I'm not there yet. You know, I'll get some weird feelings and stuff, and I don't just go with it. I test it and double check it and triple check it, and I'm not sure. I second guess myself. It says, you know, it says when highly empowered empaths go for it, when they do that, they usually succeed and cause others around them to wonder how they did it. And they say, like, you know, how could you sense something wasn't right? It's true. Oh, this is going to be a long video, guys. So it says, so check this out. Very key. It says, toxic types love empaths, and these relationships can be breeding ground for self-destruction. So, and this is where I started to study and get into malignant narcissists. So it says that they tend to prey on empaths because they know there's plenty of energy, resources, and support to feed on. Empaths can heighten the energy of those around them with wealth and their emotional labor and ability to honor other perspectives. Narcissists see that special gift in empaths, and they seek to curate and collect the resources of the empath, which could further aid their agenda. It says, when you think about it, toxic people can use empaths as a way to short-circuit their way to success and circumvent their own need for healing. They use the compassion of empaths to get away with their toxic behavior without ever being held accountable for it. They exploit their willingness to adapt and their resilience to ensnare them into an abusive cycle. And they said they feast on empaths as if it was like a daily meal. And it says, in order to resist the dine and dash strategies of ravenous emotional vampires, empaths have to learn to nourish themselves with self-care, then settle for crumbs in their relationship. The drained and depleted empath is often the one putting his or her needs on the back burner while endlessly serving others. Wow. My entire life, I never could understand why I'm a nice guy. My experiences, life experiences, childhood experiences, everything weren't all, you know, flowers and rainbows. Yet, I'm still here. I'm still around. And I'm still overall a nice guy. And I think that this is me. I could be wrong. I'm going to ask around. I'm going to ask some people. But it says empaths can become indiscriminate emotional sponges if they're not careful, absorbing negativity or toxic shame that isn't theirs to carry. And it says the strange thing about empaths is that they can get even the most unlikely person to open up and tell their life story in seconds without even meaning to. It says this is because even though empaths often have broken hearts, they remain open-hearted by nature. People intuitively trust them. Conversation with an empath can result in cathartic healing on both sides, or they can end in exhaustion for the empath if an empath is not fully empowered with healthy boundaries. Wow. Wow. The darkness of this ability is that while empaths carry immense power to help in healing, they often forget to heal themselves in the process. Unlike somebody who is not an empath, even the quickest of social interactions, if they're emotionally loaded from input from the other person, can lead to quick depletion. They call it a cleansing of the psyche. An empath has to practice grounding techniques such as meditation to reconnect with themselves and clear themselves of any negative, disempowering energy arising from other people. Wow, I didn't get down to that part of this article. They have an immense amount of power, but they usually don't know how to use it. Wow, man. This emotional intensity can be the pathway to self-destruction if empaths are not careful. Many highly sensitive individuals can resort to numbing activities to block out their heightened emotions, whether it be overeating, abused substances, or engaging in unhealthy relationships, so they don't have to confront the weight of their own pain. Fuck, man. Got a lot to learn. So that, I believe that's me. I'm going to ask around and see if other people think I'm the opposite. So the opposite of an empath is literally a narcissist. And I'm going to go over that next here. I know this is a long video. You guys probably don't give a fuck. But this is literally like life-changing, groundbreaking stuff. So much so that I'm not even drinking. I'm just sitting here like, everything makes sense. Alright guys, so just a couple more notes on empaths. It says that they feel what you feel, but to a whole new level. It says that they love spending time with you, but also need time alone. Which, yeah, they're good listeners to the point of neglecting their own needs. So basically, do they just give? They have trouble saying no. I have trouble saying no. For my whole fucking life, I just thought it was because I'm a nice guy. I would always say yes, I'll help you, or yes, I'll do that, and then I would get nothing in return. You know, it says they don't respond well to criticism, so you might have to walk on eggshells. Well, most people don't respond well to criticism. They give it their all, but need to know when it's time to call it quits. Empaths put a lot into the relationships, sometimes too much. They care so much that they can take it a step too far and leave themselves drained, emotionally raw, and searching for absolute answers. It says empaths are often problem solvers, thinkers, and studiers of many things. As far as empaths are concerned, where the problem is, so too is the answer. They often search until they find one, if only for peace of mind. So that's it for the empath thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about manipulative, malignant narcissists and stuff like that, and kind of just go over some bullet points here that I came across and touch base on that, because like this is all stuff that I never really thought about. Alright, so the other side of the coin, from my understanding, is narcissists. And I came across an article that had 20 different diversionary tactics that toxic people use to silence and degrade you. And like I said, I've seen and come across this sort of thing with my Facebook friends talking about it and all that. And everyone's like, oh my god, I've dated a narcissist before. And number one is gaslighting. So it says that gaslighting is a manipulative tactic, and it can be described in a variation of 3 words. That didn't happen, you imagined it, and are you crazy? Gaslighting is perhaps one of the most insidious manipulative tactics out there because it works to distort and erode your sense of reality. You guys know that I record everything, and I talk about everything immediately after it happens. I don't twist the facts, I don't change the stories, I don't do any of that. And a lot of the stuff, especially if you look very closely at the vacation week, you can see some of the ways that Rochelle acts, and the way she treats Logan, and the way she talks to me, and the way Logan acts. So, and then step 2 is projection. So it says one sure sign of toxicity is when a person is chronically unwilling to see his or her shortcomings and uses everything in their power to avoid being held accountable for them. So, I'm not the problem, you're the problem. Okay, why? Well, because I said so. Well, okay, well, you know. Nonsensical conversations from hell. If you think you're going to have a thoughtful discussion with someone who is toxic, be prepared for an epic mind fuckery rather than conversational mindfulness. It says malignant narcissists and sociopaths use word salad, circular conversations, projecting and gaslighting to disorient you and get you off track should you ever disagree with them or challenge them in any way. Blanket statements and generalizations. Deliberately misrepresenting your thoughts and feelings to the point of absurdity. It says, in the hands of a narcissist, your differing opinions, legitimate emotions, and lived experiences get translated into character flaws and evidence of your irrationality. They weave tall tales and reframe what you're actually saying to make your opinions look absurd and heinous. Let's say you bring up the fact that you're unhappy with the way a toxic friend is speaking to you. In response, he or she may put words in your mouth saying, "Oh, so now you're perfect? So I am a bad person, huh?" When you've done nothing but express your feelings. This enables them to invalidate your right to have thoughts and emotions about their inappropriate behavior and instills in you a sense of guilt when you attempt to establish boundaries. It says this is a popular form of diversion and cognitive distortion known as mind reading. Toxic people often presume to know what you're thinking and feeling. They chronically jump to conclusions based on their own triggers rather than stepping back to evaluate the situation mindfully. Wow. Nitpicking and moving the goalposts. These so-called critics often don't want to help you improve, they just want to nitpick, pull you down and scapegoat you in any way they can. Abusive narcissists and sociopaths employ a logical fallacy known as moving the goalposts in order to ensure that they have every reason to be perpetually dissatisfied with you. Wow. This is when, even after you've provided all the evidence in the world to validate your argument and take an action to meet their request, they set up another expectation of you and demand more proof. Do you have a successful career? The narcissist will start to pick on why you aren't a millionaire yet. Did you already fulfill their need to be excessively catered to? Now it's time to prove that you can also remain independent. Now it's time to prove that you can also remain independent. The goalposts will perpetually change and may not even be related to each other. Changing the subject to avoid accountability. That's another bullet point. Covert and overt threats. Whatever. It says toxic people often feel threatened when their excessive sense of entitlement, false sense of superiority, and grandiose sense of self are challenged in any way. They are prone to making unreasonable demands on others while punishing you for not living up to their impossible-to-reach expectations. Rather than tackle disagreements or compromises maturely, they set out to divert you from your right to have your own identity and perspective by attempting to instill fear in you about the consequences of disagreeing or complying with their demands. Name calling. Destructive conditioning. They do this by, it says, toxic people condition you to associate your strengths, talents, and happy memories with abuse, frustration, and disrespect. They do this by sneaking in covert and overt put-downs about the qualities and traits they once idealized, as well as sabotaging your goals, ruining celebrations, vacations, and holidays. They may even isolate you from your friends and family and make you financially dependent on them. Like Pavlov's dogs, you're essentially trained over time to be afraid of doing the very things that once made your life fulfilling. Wow. I was definitely getting some overt and covert put-downs. Smear campaign and stalking. Love bombing and devaluation. So let me see here. Alright, so check this out. I've never heard of this term before, love bombing. Toxic people put you through an idealization phase until you're sufficiently hooked and invested in beginning a friendship or relationship with you. Then they begin to devalue you while insulting the very things they admired in the first place. Another variation of this is when a toxic individual puts you on a pedestal while aggressively devaluing and attacking someone else who threatens their sense of superiority. It says that abusers do this all the time. They devalue their exes to their new partners, and eventually the new partner starts to receive the same sort of mistreatment as the narcissist's ex-partner. Ultimately, what will happen is you will be on the receiving end of the same abuse, and you will one day be the ex-partner they degrade to their new source of supply. You just don't know it yet. That's why it's important to stay mindful of the love bombing technique whenever you witness behavior that doesn't align with the good things. Preemptive defense, triangulation, which I didn't read all of that, but it talks about triangulating your relationship. So, oh. What? It says, wow, triangulation. Bringing the opinion, perspective, or suggested threat of another person into the dynamic of an interaction is known as triangulation, often used to validate the toxic person's abuse while invalidating the victim's reactions to response. So it's basically saying that they'll bring in a separate person and say like, oh, so-and-so agrees with me, so that means you're wrong. I guess I tried that with the one situation with her friends. I tried to talk to her friends. I'm like, is this normal? Like, why would she do this? So they're like, no, that doesn't sound right. But then when they talk to her, they're like, oh, Bob's wrong. Okay, whatever. Bait and feign innocence. By baiting your seemingly innocuous comment disguised as a rational one, they can then begin to play with you. They've learned about your insecurities, the unsettling catchphrases that interrupt your confidence, and the disturbing topics that reenact your wounds, and they use this for knowledge maliciously to provoke you. After you've fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker, they'll stand back and innocently ask whether you're okay and talk about how they didn't mean to agitate you. This faux innocence works to catch you off guard and make you believe that they truly didn't intend to hurt you, until it happens so often you can't deny the reality of the malice any longer. Baiting. Boundary testing and hoovering. Wow. Aggressive jabs disguised as jokes, man. So, they usually dress up their comments as just jokes. Condescending sarcasm and patronizing tone. Wow. I'm better than you. I'm going to talk down to you. I'm going to treat you not as an equal or as an adult. I'm going to treat you as a kid. You're fucking retarded. All that type of stuff. It says, whenever you're met with a condescending demeanor or tone, call it out firmly and assertively. You don't deserve to be spoken down to like a child, nor should you ever silence yourself to meet the expectation of someone else's superiority complex. So, we'll talk a little bit more on the superiority complex, but it talks about shaming. It can be used, they whittle and destroy their victim's self-esteem. If a victim dares to be proud of something, shaming the victim for that specific trait, quality, or accomplishment can serve to diminish their sense of self and stifle any pride they may have. Wow. Control. Most importantly, they love to maintain control in any way they can. They isolate you, maintain control over your finances, social network, micromanage every facet of your life. I did not let it get to that point, but The more power they have over your emotions, the less likely you'll trust your own reality and the truth about the abuse you're enduring. That comes with really long-term relationships that are with a narcissist. But I'm seeing a lot of these traits in Rochelle. This is the whole point of all, like, this 30 minutes of me talking. You know, the shaming topic really hits home. Not once during our entire relationship did she compliment me on anything. She might have said, "Oh, you look nice," but she never said, like, "Damn, dude, you look hot," like, "Fuck yeah," or like, "Oh, hey, you know, I've talked about this," but she never would say, like, "I miss you," or anything like that. She had none of those emotions. The condescending sarcasm and stuff, oh, all the time. I would make some comments and stuff, and confidently, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, this is good," and all that, and she'd be like, "Oh, wow," you know, and then she would kind of say some sarcastic comment, instead of like, "Fuck yeah, dude, you got this," you know, "Hell yeah," or smile, or cheerlead for me, whatever you want to say it. She would always insert these little sarcastic comments. Like, I'd be talking or doing something, and she would throw in a comment to completely deflate anything I was doing. And then, you know, if I asked her about it, she'd be like, "Oh, well, you know, I just, whatever, no big deal," or whatever. And I'm like, what? Those are those aggressive jabs disguised as jokes. You know, I'd be in the middle of doing something with Grant, and she'd be like, "Oh, that's not how I would parent." And I'm like, what? Instead of her asking, like, "Well, why would you do that?" Or, like, you know, how does that work, or whatever. Boundary testing, you know, it's constantly, it kind of goes with the goalpost moving of the goalpost. You know, I'm testing the boundaries in terms of, like, what's allowed and not allowed because of the control factor. Everything's so tightly controlled that it's like, "Can we hang out today?" "Oh, yeah, I just assumed we would, and you'd spend the night and stuff." "Okay, and then next time, are we gonna hang out?" "Oh, no, no." So, very, very interesting, but... And then, like, this love bombing thing, and the thing that they said at the very beginning about, like, projection and gaslighting. She would take everything that I would say literally, and this, I experienced this today. She took everything that I would say literally. I'd spend an hour, this is over the relationship, I'd spend like an hour that night explaining what exactly I meant, and then she'd be like, "Oh, no, that's not how I took it." So then when I was like telling her some stuff today that she said or whatever and how it made me feel, she's like, "Oh, you're entitled to your opinion, but, you know, I was just joking around, I was just kidding, I was just being playful and weren't." And I was like, "No, you really weren't. You were being an asshole." So that's the gaslighting, and like the, "Oh, that's not how it happened," or "That's not how my friends remember it," or whatever. And I'm like, "Dude, your friends were fucking hammered. They don't give a fuck. Like, of course they're gonna agree with whatever you say." So I gotta look into this narcissism thing and see, like, if like this friend thing that Rochelle's all about is part of that. This is all new to me. I will say, like, I have used some of these techniques and tactics against her because I was basically dishing out what I was getting. She didn't like it. But the projection thing and all that, it's just, I try to talk to her about various things that I observe and I notice. And she said, "Oh, that's not me, that's you. You're the one that's worried about money and this and that." I'm like, "No, not really, dude. Like, I don't know. Clearly not." I'm concerned about my money. I'm concerned about my bills. I'm concerned about my situation. I don't care about her situation. And I don't know why she would show that much care or concern over my, let's say, financial situation, over, like, the way I feel or the way she talks to me and all that stuff. I don't know why I'm doing such a long video, guys. I just really figured this out. I figured her out. I got her pegged, finally. I know what she's doing. I know, unfortunately, I believe that she's a product of her surroundings through her marriage and all that. This is why she picked up all this behavior. She learned from the best. The guy was fucking a monster. I'm seeing it now with Grant's mom, the way he treats Grant's mom and stuff. I'm seeing these patterns exhibited in Logan. So he's learning all this shit from somebody. All of the stuff that I mentioned about vacation, about Logan cheating at every game he plays, and he'll whine and he'll plead and negotiate and everything. He does every single trick in the book, and he's too young to be doing that shit. So he's learned from his mom, he's learned from his dad. I don't know how I didn't see this sooner. You know, yeah, let me come back to this. So, I already forgot what I was just going to talk about, but Rochelle just messaged me a picture of her walking her dog, and she's like, "Oh, it's a perfect night for a walk and stuff." And for 3 or 4 months, I've been trying to get her ass to go for a walk with the damn dog. And she told me, "Oh, my type of dog, it's not a good type of dog for taking on walks," and all that type of stuff. And I'm just like, so I had this notion that I've talked about it before, and I mentioned it to her being Rochelle, and I said, "Rochelle, the problem that I have with staying or just being friends with you is that you want all the good parts of me, with zero commitment, zero strings attached, and all that." And she made a comment. She said, "Well, that's what friends are. Friends, I don't want just the good parts. I want, the good with the bad and the venting and all that type of stuff." And so I had this feeling. I had this gut feeling. And I've had this before. This is why I took a step back from hanging out with her and talking with her before we got together. And I had this feeling that I give so much, and I'm only getting a piece back of her. And I couldn't explain it. I could not really put it into words to her for her to understand what I'm talking about. And what it basically comes down to is when I hang out with her and interact with her and all that, I'm left usually completely drained. I have so much anxiety. I have so much just tension. And I haven't been able to figure out why. Why is that? What? And this has been going on even back before, when we were friends and stuff, or just friends and all that. And I thought it was because I wanted more and all that, but I guess it's part of me being an empath, where I'm an emotional sponge. So I'll absorb and listen and help heal her, so to speak, as these articles are saying. But she doesn't return that. She doesn't return that that feeling or that sensation at all. And it's not necessarily that she has bad energy, but when you're with somebody, and you can't give them a compliment, you can't, when they say, "Oh, I missed you," you just say, "Oh, okay, cool." You can't even tell them that you miss them. You give them snooty snide comments and remarks to deflate them. You kind of call out and talk a little bit of shit when they're being confident or saying something confidently, "Oh, wow, you really speak high of yourself." It's fuck yeah, I do. You know why? Because you don't. Who else is gonna toot my horn? So these are all of the realizations that I had today as to why I can't just be a friend with her, because she wants a direct highway into my heart without the strings attached. And It's almost like she wants like an emotional and a mental commitment from me without providing anything in return. And she says, "Oh, that's being a good friend, you know, and this and that." But this whole time, I've always felt this certain way about a friendship between her and me, and I could never figure out what it was. And it's because she's a narcissist, because she wants me around, but she doesn't want to treat me well. She wants to treat me just good enough to keep me around, but not well enough to um, help me succeed. Help me. She's not excited about anything in my life. Anything. I got a new car, and then she's like, "Okay, now what? How you doing for money? Where's your house?" And this and that, you know. And I'm like, "Wow, cool." So this is important stuff. I don't suspect anyone's even gonna watch this video. It's gonna be like an hour long at this point. But I've learned so much. I'm gonna be talking about this probably more tomorrow and upcoming days, because this is gonna be way too big to break down for anyone to follow for a stupid YouTube video. But um, she's broken, dude. She's fucked up beyond all recognition. Fubar. And I can't fix her. That was always like my thing that I always would say. Like, I fix things. I like fixing things. I've talked about that on this vlog, and that's kind of like me. That's my thing. And when I come across people that don't give a fuck or that refuse to try to fix stuff, I gotta walk away. Alright, guys. I'm gonna cut this off, and I'll be back tomorrow.